I want to talk about, this is really one of the longest running programs that we have here at the Hurricane Research Division, in fact, the laboratory. The Hurricane Field Program has been going on essentially continuously since the 1960s, and you'll learn a little bit of how it's changed since basically in the last 20 years. So this is really a unique opportunity that we have each and every season to get the NOAA aircraft in and around storms. So we fly two P3 aircraft. That's the airplane on the right. That's a 4-engine turboprop. It's a lower altitude airplane, storm penetrating airplane, does a lot of the intercore work for us. And then we also have the NOAA G4. That's a higher altitude airplane, flies more in the periphery in the environment surrounding the storm, although you'll learn that we are getting that airplane closer to the storm. These are flown both for operational research missions, and you'll hear more about it as we go forward about what our role is in both of those types of missions. So we should start off, as Frank mentioned, none of this happens really without the efforts at Aircraft Operations Center, OMAO. They fly the aircraft, and we're not just collaborating with them during the season, we're actually working pretty much throughout the year with them to make this summer mission execution happen. So they're a really big partner in this, and we're really appreciative of all the work that they do to help us get all the data from these aircraft. As Frank mentioned, the budget-wise, the flight hours that we receive do come through OMAO for OER for research, as well as operations, and we do support operational missions as well here at HRD extensively. And as Frank said, we also get expendables such as drop-ons, which measure pressure, temperature, humidity, wind from the airplane as they fall. Those tend to come through, at least recently, the Hurricane Supplemental. We use those to support the supplemental projects, and we also use those drops-ons to support our research. External partners are critical. We have a few aircraft, but a lot of times we get external partners to help out, bringing other assets in the field. We've worked extensively with NASA, bringing aircraft in the field, ONR, as well as NCAR, NSF. And what we should say, and what you're going to learn, is that internally within NOAA, we also collaborate extensively, especially on the operational side, on guiding the research mission that we have using these aircraft. So really, this program, being around since the 60s, has really been about understanding. But what we've really seen, as Frank mentioned, since 2005, we had the intensity forecast experiment. And what this really was a response to the need to get better intensity prediction. And what the program evolved into was not just an understanding, but also now operation focus. And really, since the beginning of HFIP, it's been the observing arm of the Hurricane Forecast Improvement Project. So recognizing this need that we can't just do understanding, we need to extend the observations into the modeling framework. So IFEX, as Frank said, had these three main goals, one of which is we certainly still want to understand the storm, the basic processes. But now we need to learn how to integrate the observations in the model. And there's really two ways that we've done that, and you'll hear more as we go along. We integrate observations into the model initialization, so that's the data assimilation side. But then we're also doing the model evaluation. These observations are a great tool for us to actually evaluate how well the model is representing the real environment. And then Frank touched on this one as well, and you're going to hear more about this, and that is real-time monitoring, new technologies, new instrumentation on the airplane that allows us to monitor the storm, for instance, the intensity better or intensity change that may be occurring. But that's not only the collaboration. We work within the laboratory as well. Ocean is a key part of processes that are going in the hurricane. We have the Physical Oceanography Division. This is just one example from this past season when we actually overflew the P3 over PhD's ocean gliders. You'll hear about those as we go along in the review. But this is an opportunity that we had to actually get coincident ocean and atmospheric observations in what was a really key period in Hurricane Dorian when it was rapidly intensifying near Puerto Rico. So we talk about this research plan that we developed, and really since 2005, we tie very much of our priorities in this research plan that we developed for the aircraft on the R2O side. You'll hear some of the R2O as we go on these lightning talks, but what I want to emphasize is that we go the other directions as well. So the research plan that we develop is actually built on the operational priorities. So we make the research priorities based on the operational priorities. So on the operations side, we collaborate extensively with the Environmental Modeling Center. They do task the airplane a lot, but HRD actually supports all of those EMC taskings on the airplane through data quality control and transmission and mission execution. We work, of course, extensively with the National Hurricane Center and the Weather Service. What I want to say about that, we talk about the operational priorities. They want to improve prediction of genesis, rapid intensification, and we make those science priorities in our science plan for the missions in response to that need to improve those types of prediction better. And then NESDIS is a key partner. Most recently, we've been doing satellite validation efforts with the aircraft, with the Joint Polar Satellite System Program, evaluating their satellite retrievals with the observations, as one example. So I won't go into extensive detail about these R2O. You're going to hear it kind of in the next few talks. But a lot of the main efforts recently have been around the tail Doppler radar on the P3s and the G4 aircraft. That is a radar that gives us a sort of a 3D picture of the precipitation and wind in the storm. We've seen that radar data go into HWRF, okay, in the initialization, the radio velocity data. We're now sending that data near real time to the National Hurricane Center. They're seeing a 3D picture of the storm in near real time. And then we're also getting the G4 closer into the storm, and you're going to hear about this, and an inner circumnavigation gets us more radar data, more wind in the near core. And just to finish up, just the season by the numbers, you're going to hear about a little bit more when you do a scenario here after this lightning talks. 200 research flight hours are flown between OAR. There was also a NESDIS contribution between P3, G4, 300 hours on the aircraft for operations. But I just want to emphasize again that HRD pretty much supported in some respect 100% of these flight hours through data quality control and transmission. So we'll hear about that more in the scenario coming up. But for now, I'm going to pass along to Jason Dunyan, who will talk a little more about aircraft observations.